Morning, YouTube. I actually got my first subscriber today. Thank you, Viking. He commented about the soundtrack that I liked on Watchmen, which got me thinking about the past and my history of musical tastes that have changed over time. When I grew up, I heard a lot of big band music. My father was into big band music, and my grandfather, my mother's father, played in a number of big bands in the 40s and the 50s. He eventually moved on to jazz and played on and off well into his 70s. Eventually, he of course retired, but he played his drums every single day as long as he had his own home. After a while, I began to drift into the later types of music, and I became an Elvis fan. Now realize, this was in the 70s, Elvis was still alive, but he wasn't the most popular type of music. I didn't really start to have my own taste in music, until I was probably in 8th grade, and the first album I bought with my own money was Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. I loved that album. I listened to it again and again. I was inspired because my musical teacher used it as an example of the production values that were put into the album itself. After a while, I began to move into all the other albums of Pink Floyd, and I bought them probably all the way up through the wall. I don't think I bought anything after that. I still say that Wish You Were Here is not only my favorite Pink Floyd album, but probably my favorite album of all time. When I got to be in my teens, I became a really big David Bowie fan. I loved Bowie. From his glam rock stuff all up through his later work, I thought it was wonderful. I listened to it constantly. And because of the people I used to hang around with, a bunch of college kids, and quite a few of them happened to be gay, I listened to a lot of the disco stuff, and he was very popular with that crowd as well. After high school, I began to move into harder music, and eventually I got myself into heavy metal, and then I got myself into some really hard stuff like Carnivore, Retaliator, Man of War, things like that. I had an extensive collection of Iron Maiden as well. I really liked their kind of almost theatrical take on heavy metal music. After a while, I got into more instrumental things, and then I discovered the blues. And I found that the blues suited pretty much everything I loved about music. Both purely instrumental blues and blues that had lyrics. I found Joe Cocker through watching Saturday Night Live, where John Belushi made fun of him, but it was just a beautiful thing, and the song With a Little Help from My Friends became one of my favorites of his. And now I have an extensive collection of Joe Cocker. I also discovered that I like music that tells a story. Songs that have a beginning, a middle, and end, not just for the sake of having a song evoke an emotional state, but a song that tells the listener something that went on in the life of the characters, or at least the person singing the song. Eventually I discovered Steve Earle and a number of other artists that are related to his style of music. I even went so far as to read his autobiography, which was depressing and uplifting at the same time. When he sings the blues, Steve Earle really's earned the right to sing the blues. Nowadays I listen to quite a few different styles. I still happen to like the blues, but I've moved into some more of the contemporary music. My wife and I are fans of like the Foo Fighters and Radiohead and Green Day. And I don't buy as many albums as I used to when I was younger. I have less disposable income. But I can tell you right now, I will be buying the Watchmen soundtrack as soon as I can afford it. Have a good day.